Hi, good evening, and welcome to another week's installment of the Minority Report. I'm Marlon David, and I'm your host this evening, and we are going to be continuing into some discussions that we would have begun last week and also the week before, and we're going to get further into those discussions tonight. And I mean, we're just going to continue to do what the mandate of the minority is, to hold this administration accountable and to bring the information to the public. This evening you're viewing this show on Tobago Updates, and you can also view on the Tobago Updates website. You can view it on the Tobago Updates YouTube channel, and the one most folks log into is the Tobago Updates Facebook page. What is new, however, is that you can also view this show on M&E TV. So those of you who can log into the M&E TV platform, you can also now view this show and make your comments. If you have suggestions, recommendations, or even questions, we want you to send those to the WhatsApp contact number. That is 284-6597, 284-6597. We definitely relish the opportunity to have your comments, to also be able to ventilate issues that you would raise, and to be able to put it out into the public domain, and even in some instances call upon the secretaries of various divisions to action those instances that need to be treated with in such a manner. And so this evening, as we are about to get into the show, and it's going to be a bit of a carnival type special. We're in the season of carnival in Tobago. We're actually on the eve of the very first Tobago-based carnival, and there's quite a bit that we hope to see unfold in this period of time. And so this evening's program is going to reflect a bit of culture as well. So we're going to take a short break. We're going to log out a bit, but we want you to log in. We want you to share the live to your friends, send the link around, and let's get as many persons on the program viewing so that we can share the information and have it spread near and far. So we want you to stay logged on, stay locked on, and we'll be right back as we continue with this evening's Minority Report.
I'm Roxanne Hepburn, the Managing Director of La Marche Parfait Day Spa. And now guess what? We're in Tobago, and we are so excited to serve Tobago.
La Marche Parfait Day Spa Tobago will be open to the public from Monday the 5th. Some of the services that you can access will be infrared body steam, spa parties, body treatments, massages, pedicures, manicures, waxing, carviation, radio, and lipo-slimming and cellulite wrap treatment. We are located at number 1 Main Road, Barrington's Court, Bonaccord Village.
Mamai Lakai Home Services. We specialize in cleaning of carpets and rugs, mattresses, living room and dining room sets, vehicle detailing, cleaning and sanitizing of homes and commercial spaces. We also do landscaping and tree cutting, pressure and power washing, floor care, fumigating and air purifying. You can also call us for professional painting services, babysitting and adult sitting. Call us now 333-4430 at Mamai Lakai Home Services. We take cleaning to another level.
We're back this evening, and what we want to be able to do before we actually get into our program is to caution our viewers, caution Tobagonians that we've been issued a yellow warning for some sort of weather condition that is now mounting, and we're asking persons to be careful, exercise the due diligence that is needed to protect oneself, one's property, and one's family in this time where we see a lot of this type of weather taking place. We don't know what it's going to bring over the next couple of days pending the start of the carnival season. However, we're going to continue to pray that God holds up the weather so that we can indeed get ahead with some of what may have been planned that can benefit the island. So we want to have all persons out there to exercise caution as you move about the island and the roadways and so forth. This evening we're going to begin, as I indicated, with a bit of culture. And interesting, we saw the Tobago Carnival Monarch competition aired recently, and congratulations to Miss Thomas, I think it is, who would have copped the title yet again. And I mean, this I think is probably her 4th crown in a row. It seems as if she definitely has the handle on what is the recipe for winning. Also in the winners lineup, her brother placing 2nd as well in that competition, and Giselle Washington coming in 3rd. So we want to thank all the competitors for participating. However, as we begin this evening's program, we want to kick it off with one of those selections, which I found pretty interesting, and we're going to go right into that. I'll have the director just take us into it.
So back, how you feeling? To those who don't know me, I'm a humorous calypsonian, and anything I sing on stage does me joke. Hey, hilariously belting out my rendition. Charming humor kaisos down people's throat. So I don't want you to take me serious. The things I will sing to you, and you know I could be mischievous. Humor calypsos they cast through. Like if I sing and say, oh, what's none, them put a good cocktail on the beer name. That is a joke. That is a humor. I know that to be Ghanaians vote, they vote only malfeasance coming down with jokes. That is a joke. Oh, Lord. That is a humor. From the assembly to them division, man, is plenty, can. That is a joke. That is a humor. So hear what I want all you do. All you laugh until you fall. But anything that I tell you, don't take it serious at all, because it's a joke. Just a humor. Dante. So back, how you feeling? Dante. But you can listen yearly to those serious calypsonians. And all the big lyrics calypsos they sing, yeah, most sincerely making their contributions, trying to reverse this curse that wins. Hey, but my function to you is easy, even though it's just for a while. All you I am to make you happy. Yes, my job is to make you smile. So I want to sing and say, down in tourism, and I hear it have enough nepotism. That is a joke. That is a humor. It's not me who say boys McKenna, only friends and family when Grenada. That is a joke. That is a humor. And if I tell all you how the deputy, she does carry carry on like she's the secretary. That is a joke. That is a humor. So hear what I want all you do. All you laugh until you fall. But just remember I tell you, all you don't take me serious at all because it's a joke. It's just a humor. Guys, Tobago is facing a very sad situation. Ocho Charles and Winford James tell we so. Hey. So I will not add to your frustration. No. Be a singing, no serious guy. So it's a terrible situation since them two Spartans locked their horn. And we waiting in the pavilion to see who head will wear the crown. So I want to sing and say the chief secretary, say he sitting there like my people.
That is a joke.
Oh Lord, oh, that is a humor. And somebody should go tell what he shouldn't get in this fight with me.
That is a joke.
Oh Lord,
that is a humor.
He could take it down party and abolish secretary, even Pastor Bird singing praise to me.
That is a joke.
Oh Lord,
that is a humor.
So hear what I want all you do, all your LOL till you fall. But just remember I tell you, all you don't take me serious at all because it's a joke. It's just a humor. Look, Mama used to tell me when she was teaching me in parable. Ungratefulness, she said, worse than opium. And about Judas, recorded in the Bible, she said, son, from them attitude you must stay far. Hey. But like some people didn't learn that, the way they're now behaving. But I know what's going to fight back, so I keep in out of that thing. But I want to ask about that 400K to the group of Roxborough you give away.
That is a joke.
Oh Lord, oh.
That is a humor.
Just before I go, so I'm asking you, cause we want an audited statement too.
That is a joke.
Oh God,
that is a humor.
while you at that chief, and I hope you will, cause we want to see all them contracts bill.
That is a joke.
Hey, hey. That is a humor. So hear what I want all you do, show back, laugh until you fall. But just remember I tell you, because it's a joke, it's just a humor. Love you. Dante, 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 Dante.
Yeah, that is a joke. It's a humor. I don't know if it is you was talking about this assembly, you know, but that probably is a joke as well. This evening, joining me on set, we have the minority leader and the minority councillor. Let's bring them in one time. Very, very much enjoying this the festivity.
It is a humor.
So we just had a bit of enjoyment there, serious enjoyment. Because a number of the issues ventilated the punching in his, they're real issues, and we know traditionally, if we were to follow the traditional concept of the Calypsonian, he was normally the person, or she was normally the person to bring the issues into the public domain and ventilate it in a manner that the general public could consume, have a little laugh, but still understand what is taking place. So this evening we want to welcome you to the Minority Report. Let me allow the minority leader and minority councillor to give the opening remarks and to greet us this evening.
Well, good evening, one and all. Good evening to our very faithful host who is here doing human service every Tuesday. You know, sometimes Petal and I get an opportunity to get a break, but it seems like you're here with us all the time. And to our loyal viewers, always online, giving support, you know, throwing in your 2 cents every now and then in the comments. We look forward to the comments tonight. I am looking forward to a really exciting show. So where we bring the issues, you know, talk about the issues of the day. Of course, you'd have seen our press conference last Thursday, and it's the most silent I've seen a government since after many serious issues would have been raised, and not a dog has even barked, not a word. Secretaries not answering the phone when the media call them, they're running, they're hiding, who trying to switch the conversation. But we're going to have the conversations tonight. So good night, Minority Councillor. How are you?
I am wonderful. Good night, Minority Leader. Good night to our host. Good night to all of you viewing and listening to us. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Minority Report. And as the Minority Leader said, we know we have some loyal listeners. So we thank you for continuing to support us in every way, prayerfully tuning in, you know, just calling to say that we are doing well, and even to share criticisms, you know. So we thank you for that support. And I'm really, really happy the way that the show started this evening. On a light note, we're in the carnival season, so you know, the show will be light, and the Calypso brought back deja vu, because as the host Marlon would have indicated, in the past, you know, during this carnival season is when you look forward to hear the current issues coming out in a skillful manner, and you know, sometimes they are humorous, and we appreciated that light humor, although all the issues that were brought in the Calypso are quite serious issues. And are currently happening on our island.
And thanks a lot, guys. And we're going to just kick it off a bit. Now, we would have seen over the last couple of months, as you would have indicated, a number of issues coming out in the public domain in Tobago. And we would have particularly been discussing issues of some contracts and contractors and so on, and the way that our Tobago contractors would have been treated. And as we always seek to do on this program, we want to always remind the public of what is said as opposed to what is done. Again, we always try to remind our listening audience of what is said as opposed to what is done. So this evening we're going to have a number of clips that we're going to be reminiscing, as it were, and discussing some of the things that have been said. So I'll ask the director to go right into that clip. We have a live of the now Chief Secretary when he would have been thirsty for the power of the seat, things that he would have said. And when we're finished that clip, we want to go to a few moments later clip on the same issue. So I'll ask the director just to let's get into that this evening.
And let me tell you why I will hold all of them accountable. When you go to section 37(1) of the THA Act, it says where a secretary is assigned responsibility for a division of the assembly, he shall exercise general direction and control over that division. And I can replace he with she. In other words, wherever a secretary is responsible for a division, she has general direction and control over that division. I want to tell you quite clearly that public servants are not the ones who decide how to spend your money. That happens from members of the Executive Council. Public servants do not determine when checks are paid to contractors. And by the way, contractors are calling and complaining that they are not being paid for works done. And I want to assure you contractors that when PDP gets into office, we will honor contracts that you have with the THA, and we will pay you for the jobs that you have done, that you have dutifully done, even if we do not agree with the way those contracts were given out. You have done the jobs, we will pay you for the jobs that you have done.
Right. So I'm certain many of us remember this live, and we see the passion in the voice, or we hear the passion in the voice of the now Chief Secretary, as he would have clearly indicated that even though they would not agree with the process, that the contract may have been given out or executed and that kind of thing, that he has given a commitment to pay nonetheless. So I want us to go to the next clip, Mr. Director, that I sent you. The few moments later clip.
Secondly, I wish to address a long-standing matter with regard to the contractors who are demanding payments. I addressed it quite extensively in the past, and I did indicate that the sole reason for not being able to honor the promise immediately, as in within the month of June, of paying these contractors was because we needed to do due diligence, and I am very, very certain in my mind that there will not be a single payment unless such due diligence are met.
Oh boy.
The silence is deafening in this amazing contrast. Not only was the dress code changed, because we see a nice jersey, nice clean. That is a joke and a humor.
Oh boy.
So again, and that's why I wanted us to start on this note, because you are seeing a clear minority leader. You would have spoken about this so many times, and I remember when you started sharing it, there were persons who were saying, no, it's not true, leave him alone.
The words of this gentleman and the actions are at complete variance. You just need to watch every action. There's so many examples of this. I think you may have another clip coming up at some point that would show it again. Yeah. And the funny thing about that clip is when he spoke, even the bottle and all knew that 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 something was amiss. But it's unfortunate though that you cannot take, you can't trust, and it speaks to a level of trust now. Can we trust this gentleman? Somebody would clearly make a commitment. The commitment is there for all to see. Where you tell, you make a commitment to the contractors, you have nothing to worry about. Those contracts that you did, regardless if there are some issues in how it was given out, we will honor the payment. That was a commitment given in about October, November. Fast forward to October, November of this year, a year later, the contractors are still begging, pleading. In fact, as far as I understand, some of them have taken the THA to court to try to get what is duly owed to them. So from in one breath saying you have nothing to worry about, then giving a commitment that you would pay by June 24th, and to now come in with an audit and saying, well, I can't pay because we are now dealing with an audit.
You don't like the processes that
we don't like the processes.
But it's unbelievable that is the same person who was shown in both clips.
Well, remember, one was without power
and one was with power.
Okay.
So then it means that you are a different person in office versus someone out of office. You're a different person when you have power versus when you don't have power. You're a different person, and I can't or cannot trust you when you're in office versus when you're out of office. To me, your word should be a bond. And if it is that you said while you were out of office that I will honor once you have done the work I will honor that with the payments, in spite of how I feel the contract was issued. A commitment was also made while this current administration was on the huskings for political office. The said Chief Secretary indicated that we will break stick in our ears, we will go and vote for the People's National Movement, but I assure you after the election we will take off our black jerseys and no one will lose their work. I think that was the word he used, or their contracts. You are not to fear. And then a few months later, you see where persons are deemed political hires. So they were sent home. You see departments, you see units being dismantled and sent home. So the actions, the words, in one era is at variance with what is happening, and it's quite unfortunate. And you wonder, can you trust? Who can you trust?
Yeah, can you trust? And the thing is, people feel deceived, people feel hoodwinked, people feel played. Because, you know, you sold something to us. You sold a certain level of a concept that we would have fairness, transparency, equity. We would, you know, treat with the governance of Tobago apolitical. It wouldn't be about me whether, so they sold us that it doesn't matter who you support or who you didn't support. Once you're Tobagonian, opportunities will be shared across the board. Once you're a contractor, you have the opportunity to tender for contracts, and if you win, let the chips fall where it may. You know, let the process take place, and we would spread, you know, the opportunities across the board. And when you're looking at what is happening now, it is a complete contrast to what was sold. Tobagonian, our contractors are not being given opportunities. In fact, you're seeing situations where contractors are being handpicked. Of course, I would have brought to the fore that letter of award, shocking letter of award, where a contractor could in one day send in a proposal, and for some reason the procurement tender committee, evaluation committee, they were so efficient that not only did they evaluate the proposal on said day, but by the next day all the processes was completed, that the administrator could have had in his possession a letter of award to send out to the contractor. And that letter, so the proposal came on a Thursday, which was the 5th, I think. The letter of award was given out on the 6th, which is a Friday. And the contractor, lo and behold, was on the compound of Scarborough RC, mobilized with equipments and material, ready to do the work. And what is interesting from what I was told when I did my inquiries, the tickets were bought even before the proposal was sent in. So we have a chief secretary who came to the house, waste our time with an incomplete audit report to tell us that he has preliminary suggestions that there were perhaps some level of collusion and inflated costs in the way how contracts were dealt with the road resurfacing program. But lo and behold, we have a clear case in front of us of something that speaks to collusion, because clearly somebody would have had to, the contractor clearly knew that this job was going to be his, and he would have mobilized resources even beforehand. And the other question about inflated costs, because we were able to show that in this situation, the contractor is going to be paid something upwards to $2,700 per ton for the hot mix to do this road resurfacing, which is 100% more than what was paid,
Paid
to
previously.
the previous contractors, and what this current chief secretary is saying is inflated. So as I keep saying, if what was paid to the previous contractors were that cost was inflated, well, this have to be inflation squared.
Yeah, and a lot of questions now arise out of this development, because again, you heard the secretaries and the chief secretary saying that there was a pool of 40 or how many contractors that they selected from. So for this particular job, how many persons submitted proposals? How many proposals were evaluated for this particular job? And if it is that the contractor would have known beforehand that he would have gotten the contract to mobilize in advance so that he can commence work the day after receiving his letter of award. And viewers, be mindful, upon coming into office, this current chief secretary would have indicated in his statement in the House that the People's National Movement Administration, that executive council, would have issued letters of award in the dead of night, and under his administration, those things will not happen. And you find a situation now where a proposal, I don't know if it was solicited or unsolicited, a proposal was received one day, the proposal was evaluated another, and work started on a third. And this is not even a Tobago contractor. So all his equipment, all his employees, all his materials were mobilized and on the site at Scarborough RC the day after receiving the award. And I want us to also consider that we would have heard in the West a roofing company is constructing words. Now we are seeing where a stucco company, stucco construction, I don't think that has anything to do with road repairs or road construction.
Building.
They are constructing
Roads
roads in Tobago.
And what is interesting as well, when you check the records of the pre-qualified contractors of the THA, none of these contractors are pre-qualified with the THA.
So how then?
Where did they find these guys from?
How then did they pre-qualify to even be considered?
Now again,
how? No, that is an important. That is a very important question, because
on what basis was that proposal evaluated?
Because as you said, was it solicited or unsolicited? And if it's unsolicited, how did they know that this? And that's why I'm saying this requires some serious investigation.
And we also have to consider that we will advise that all these work were emergency works.
Emergency works. Now I want to bring something. Again, you all know we just deal with clips and proof, evidence. So for those of you folks who may have missed it, and as the minority leader would have spoken to, we had a press conference last Thursday. So some folks may have missed it, and you might be wondering, what is it they're really talking about? So I've shared a document with the director, and I'll ask him to pull that up. And so we'll have the benefit of reading. Now we would have blotted out the name of the individual for obvious reasons. We are not like the present chief secretary who promises to publish a list of contractors who spend 163 million, and we still almost a year waiting for that list to be published. So it says, "Dear Sir," so it's referring to a particular male individual, and this company is registered out of Haridas Street, Warner Village, Charlieville, Uriah Butler Highway, Trinidad, West Indies. So that we've cleared up where the contractor is from. And it speaks of the caption is construction of roadway. And this is something I want us to talk about a little bit tonight. Construction of the roadway from Mount Mary to Dutch Fort Crossing Canal. And this here, folks, is the letter of award. And it speaks to referring to the proposal for caption project submitted on the what?
6th.
The 6th of October. Now look at the date on the top of this letter of award, this letter is dated October 7th. So this is not just small talk and hearsay. So we continue, and we are pleased to inform you that the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development has accepted your proposal. So the proposal has been accepted on the 6th of October. On behalf of the division and so on, the employer, and we go all the way down. They've indicated the areas, the contract will be governed by the FIDIC condition and so on. A formal contract document would be made available for your signature within 3 to 28 working days of the date of this letter of award. So a formal contract, and we await the formal contract. However, when we go down a bit, we see the what they call the scope or the work details. And we see the details of the work shall be done under the contract as described in the following documents: request for proposal, scope of work, your proposal document dated 6, and the letter of acceptance. Now, how is this even possible?
The most efficient.
Well, that's why I'm saying this requires consideration from the Guinness Book of World Records, because as far as I'm aware, this perhaps in terms of Trinidad and Tobago perhaps is one of the fastest tendering process that we would have seen, where within 24 hours the space and 48 hours you had from proposal to evaluation to accept, to award, to acceptance, to work started. I mean, that is mind-boggling.
This is amazing.
Unbelievable record. I guess so all those management companies nationally need to take.
And what is interesting as well, what is
Exactly.
interesting, if you look at the letter of award, it mentions Mount Mary.
That is it.
And if anybody is aware, as I am, because Mount Mary falls as is part of my electoral district, you would know that where Scarborough RC is considered Smithfield and not Mount Mary. So the question is whether there was the award, if it really meant to cover Mount Mary, whether that was an error or whether there was some previous arrangement that was changed, and because they were hustling and they were so hasty in there, they didn't change. So there's so many questions.
So what is the real scope?
What is the real
What
scope?
is the real
Exactly.
scope of the work? And if you go down as well, I think it was the last sentence of the second to last paragraph. It spoke to when the contract will be issued. It is crazy to me that, based on the utterances of the Chief Secretary, that one, a contract will be started without an actual physical contract being signed. And if you go up until the maximum time within which the contract shall be signed is 28 days, it means that you will be signing the contract after the works have completed.
But what is even more interesting, and this is a bill design finance, how are they financing this? Because more than likely you'll have to go to the bank, and the bank would want a contract. So how were they able to
Exactly.
So it is quite interesting. And I think this is one of those situations that really requires, you know, the intervention and investigation of law enforcement.
I agree.
Because even when you're looking at how were you able to mobilize resources, in fact, what is the background? Did they do any background checks on this firm to understand whether they really had the financial wherewithal? It would be because if to do this kind of evaluation in 20 means that you didn't do any proper due diligence. Remember he spoke about due diligence. Was any due diligence done, Mr. Chief Secretary? Because I recognize you've been ducking this situation. We have brought this to the public's attention since Thursday. Today is Tuesday. You had enough time to have a discussion with your secretary and at least address it, because the Tobago population, they are concerned. They want to know what you all are doing with their money. You promised us accountability. You promised us transparency. As part of your own charter, you said you will hold your secretaries accountable. And we have a situation here where neither the secretary nor the chief secretary can respond.
Well, there's a reason for that, Kelvin, and I want the director to play the 2 clips. There's a reason why we are in this predicament. Mr. Director, just run those 2 clips that we have there, back to back.
Do listen to them fellas, they don't know what they're talking about. Believe me. Build that stage area. What we are trying to do is host a carnival in a few months, and well, in a few weeks. We are there for, when we decided to host the carnival, but we at the assembly are trying to execute these works in short order, and at sometimes as a state agency, we believe that it might be challenging to go through every single step that is required. If that has to be done, then we won't be able to accomplish what we set out to do. Notwithstanding that, my staff reports that they have contacted the Division of Environment and the EMA, and discussions are on the way. The cost of that contract I am not aware of.
So as indicated, and as we've just heard, the secretary of that particular division clearly indicate that they don't have time with processes, they don't have time with following through the procedure, they don't have time with seeking permission for anything. What he's interested in, and what they seem to be interested in, is just doing what it is they feel they should do. So we have a case where we have no procurement. We have a case where the fastest letter of award in history, and that job started even before any contract drawn up, and it doesn't even fall within the scope that is outlined in the letter of award.
Well, more than that as well. Even he spoke to this stage out in the sea arrangement, right? And you have where we saw the development where EMA would have stepped in and indicated to the THA there are some projects you're undertaking that requires, the EMA application and that kind of thing. And what we saw was a blatant disregard for the law. And it's not the law of just Trinidad, it's the law of Trinidad and Tobago. The EMA governs what we do both in Trinidad and Tobago, and this THA seems to want to be, this current crop, this PDP administration seems to want to be a law unto themselves. They don't seem to care anything about the rule of law. They don't seem to care anything about process. Imagine you have awarded a contract. Up to now, we don't even know who is the contractor that had their equipment destroying our waterfront, because when you put those boulders down without any proper assessment, there are implications to that. That is why you are required to get a CC, and sometimes depending on how impactful it is, you have to have a environmental impact assessment done and all that. But this secretary disregarded blatantly the warnings and the intervention of the EMA, and he's saying it is because he has a carnival to put down a stage, and he don't, by the hook or the crook, he would put it down. So it speaks to, and you have to ask the question, if he's going to behave in this way when it comes to the EMA, what other processes, what other laws is he willing to disregard to get whatever he believes has to be done? Because you're seeing where the roads we were told were being done and being done in the particular way because they were needed for Carnival. But now with a week out and only about 5 more days to Carnival, and we know some of those very said roads the road works have not started. Is he now going to use the same excuse of Carnival to come and do those same roads? Because if the emergency was that we needed it for Carnival, and now Carnival has come and passed, would he use that same excuse to deem these works emergency?
I would say yes.
And we know we have the example
there's a
from
different emergency now.
Well, isn't that the same system that was used for justifying giving 400,000?
Well, that's what I'm saying. We know that
After the day was passed?
You had funds approved for Tobago Day. Tobago Day came and passed.
So there's a precedent.
And yet they were able to find justification. Well, not even justification. They just gave away the
gave
funds
it away
for something else. But I mean, it is really a joke.
It's a humor.
It's a humor.
It's a humor.
No, it's really amazing, and it's a sad state of affairs where we are at an island at this point in time, because you see where the administration, the governing body, is having no regard for law and order. And if, as the governing body on the island, you have no regard or you are disregarding law, order, policy, regulations, what do you leave for the ordinary man? Yeah? And even when the EMA would have indicated that we have some concerns with what you are doing in relation to infrastructure works on the island, it's as if that was the
it didn't even mean
the notice to say, you know what, I will do it even faster.
Yes.
So in the dead of the night, according to the Chief Secretary, you woke up the next morning and the stage was paved.
Yeah.
So that was the notice to say, go right ahead.
And what is interesting is when the Secretary spoke, he indicated, and this was last week Monday, that the members of his environment unit were in conversation with the EMA. They were as a matter of fact, he said that they contacted them and they were in conversation. What is the outcome of those conversations?
But the long and short of it is that the Division of Infrastructure broke the law. And how we as a THA, if we supposed to be a law abiding body, could so flagrantly break the law, what do we leave for the rest of the society?
Yes, correct.
What are we teaching the young people? Because if you would so disrespectfully
and
dismiss
nonchalantly, we have a carnival to keep, so outside of the law, the law nothing, according to the young people.
No consultation. I want to read 2 comments that are very interesting from persons who would have sent them in via the cell phone. The first one says, to what extent is integrity a high quality of honesty and trustworthiness associated with the Chief Secretary? Integrity is as important a leadership trait as such. The Secretary is no leader. He's speaking with reference to the Chief Secretary. And again, folks, these are comments that are being sent in. The comments and the ideas expressed by commenters may not necessarily be the ideas expressed by the Minority Report, but we just present. This second one, again, it's pertinent to the discussion we're just having. They say in TNT, the rainy season is from June to November. Downpours arrive quite literally out of the blue, but clear up just as fast. So, who builds roads in the rainy season and hosts a carnival during the rainy season? Makes no sense. So this is someone who understands geographics as well.
I just want to switch gears a bit because there's another aspect of all of this, because we are seeing a lot of money spending. Over $309 million already allocated in roads. We know there are other works happening. I saw some works happening down at Canaan, and there's a lot of works happening in back roads that is not privy to the open eye, that is happening silently. And you have to ask yourself, where is this assembly getting all this money? And when it's time to pay, how are they going to pay? Because in the same breath, you're also hearing situations where daily paids aren't getting paid on time. I understand in one division it's going on 2 fortnights. I have messages from persons who are working rent and lease right down in the division of infrastructure. They have not been paid for months, and these situations reverberate all across the assembly, where suppliers aren't being paid, contractors aren't being paid. So I'm sounding the alarm bells to Tobago that this current assembly might just be carrying this THA into bankruptcy. And it is a very serious situation. It might sound alarming, it might sound as if I am crying wolf, but it's a real situation at this time. I understand, in divisions they're struggling to find the money to pay salaries at the end of the month.
It's quite concerning.
Wow.
And I think it's something that we all should be concerned about. So the voice of the people is the voice of God. We would have seen where, and I'm taking simply the carnival, the stakeholders would have made a cry that they were not involved in certain aspects of the carnival. We saw where Trinbago would have gotten releases or finances for the events that they wanted to host. We also saw a case where the Calypsonians would have made an outcry because there was no involvement, no competitions. And now we saw last night where there was a competition, a Calypso competition, and I think coming up this week there will be a soca competition. So I want to urge all of us Tobagonians not to sit down, not to continue to sit and be silent about the issues that are facing us in relation to the governance of our island. The minority leader raised a concern, and it's scary, it's sad, and it's important, and it's something that we all must take note of. We all have to be vigilant, because at the end of the day, whatever happens in the assembly affects all our lives and our families' lives. So don't be silent. When you see something that is wrong, speak up and speak out. And we are seeing a number of issues happening on our island, and I think we are still too quiet. All that is happening has a multiplier and a ripple effect on our economy. So to take money out of the circulation of the Tobago economy and issue it to contractors in Trinidad has an effect on our lives, our livelihoods, and our economy. We cannot be silent about it. Persons are not being paid on time is an indication of other issues behind the scenes. It may not yet be at the forefront, but I am cautioning us to take note, to be vigilant, and to speak out and to speak up. We can't afford to remain silent anymore.
And whilst on the heels of that, Petal, someone sent a message that there's yet again late payment for employees within the daily paid employees within the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection. They're saying that this week should be pay, and some of them have not yet received the last fortnight's salary.
And why is that happening?
So as Petal said, there's something happening behind the scenes, and it speaks to poor management. Who is responsible for the finances of the Assembly?
Secretary of Finance.
And who is the Secretary of Finance?
It's a joke.
No, but that
As a
the
human.
Secretary of Finance happens to be the Chief Secretary,
Chief
and we
Secretary.
must ask the question: does the Chief Secretary really have the capacity? And we have to start asking the real questions, the hard questions. Does he have the capacity to hold the position of Chief Secretary and also that very important position of managing the finances of the Assembly? And we are seeing now where there are cash flow problems. We are seeing where the divisions are saying that they're not getting, when they actually put up for their monies, they're not getting the money coming to them as it should.
And again, why is that? The question has to be asked, why is that an issue? We came from a period under the past administration where the Ministry of Finance was issuing releases to the Tobago House of Assembly monthly. We are in a situation now where the Ministry of Finance issue a release to this current administration in advance, 2 and 3 months in advance. So it ought not to be a cash flow issue. When we were receiving it 1 month, persons were being paid on time. Now you are receiving it in advance, and persons are saying that they are receiving payments of salaries. And this is something that the past administration would have fought to alleviate, where salaries were being paid late. For the most part, salaries were paid on time every month. The Minister of Finance in his budget presentation also indicated that the Tobago House of Assembly in the last fiscal will have received at the time 95 or 98% of the releases, and they will receive 100%. So it is also not a situation Tobago House of Assembly did not receive all of its releases.
Exactly.
Again, the question is why? Why there seem to be a cash flow issue in the Tobago House of Assembly? Why is it that persons are receiving their salaries late when we are receiving our releases in advance?
And the Chief Secretary was boasting about it. He was saying that they are in fact being treated even better than the former PNM administration. So they cannot now turn around. It is not for want of anything on the part of the central government. And what you're seeing clearly is a situation of management and leadership in terms of how you treat with the finances. And we have a situation now where you are racking up all these bills. But remember, you also have liabilities that you have not yet treated with, because you have liabilities with road resurfacing. You have liabilities with the agricultural access road. You have liabilities with the emergency program.
And this is just one division. And we
that
are
is
only
just
talking
one
about
division.
one division. What about all the other divisions of the Tobago House?
And that's why I'm sounding the alarm. I know, it might sound scary, it might sound, but at the same time, it is a real concern going forward. Can this assembly continue to maintain the kind of debt that is racking up at this point in time?
Wow. So folks, we've been listening to some very serious but pertinent conversation. And as the minority leader would have indicated, this is not a case of trying to strike fear into the public, but it's a case of us being aware of what is taking place. And it's time that persons begin to question the process, begin to speak out against things that we've seen happening in and around this space in Tobago.
Yes, because in the same breath, you're seeing them spending money like there's no tomorrow. This is the same administration that came in and tried to give an impression that there was no money. I mean, the former secretary would have come and cleared that up, so that conversation went out the door when the secretary was able to deal with that frontally. And now you're seeing, just imagine, and I want one point with the carnival. So we have been allocated $17.5 million for this first Tobago carnival, which I'm advised is about one of the largest budgets for a carnival. And this is in the context of the carnival not having the competitions as open as they are. So they're not having the pan competition. They're not having mass competition. Chico had a limited sort of Kaiso competition. They are not giving subventions to tents. They have not given subventions to the mass band leaders. There's no junior celebration in the full extent for pan, for Calypso. I think they only had a Calypso competition, but there's no junior carnival. There's no carnival specific to the east as well as having in the west and that kind of thing. The last carnival budget in Tobago, I'm advised, was about $7 million, and that covered a span of everything, and all the stakeholders were involved, all the stakeholders benefit. And we have to ask the question, in this situation, who is really benefiting? Who is really benefiting from this $17.5 million? And where is this $17.5 million being spent? Because if you drive around Tobago and you look at the various activities, you must ask the question, what is this? Where is it $17.5 million? Because I'm yet to see it. Is it out in the sea? Is it that stage out in the sea? Because I am yet to feel it. I am yet to see it. Who is really are the Tobago stakeholders? The other thing, is our Calypsonians any better off than they were before the carnival? Is our soca artists any better off? Our mass, have they really been empowered? Have they been equipped to really to compete on the world stage? We were told that this carnival was going to be different. We're going to be unique. But I saw one person said it, asking the question, but so far, what they're seeing is the same feather concept, and nothing is wrong with that because there's a market for it. But what branded this carnival that it would be Tobago-centric. And I am yet, I don't know, I may be wrong, I look forward to see what would come out, but I'm yet to see anything that is so different from the Trinidad-style carnival that we said we did. We were so trying to stay so far away from.
That we went to Grenada.
We went to Grenada. And we left out the NCC thoroughly. We say, NCC, we don't want you nowhere. When NCC has the capacity, NCC been working with carnivals all over the world, developing carnivals, exporting the carnival brand and building carnivals for other countries. And we told NCC we didn't want them nowhere here. We went quite Grenada. And it is really I keep asking the question, where is this $17.5 million? And I hope after the carnival is done, we would have a thorough audit of the spend line by line, down to the last cent.
We also need to find out, like the minority leader said, what is the $17.5 million being spent on, and what is the procurement process for these $17.5 million?
And you asked
and there seems to be an issue across the Tobago House of Assembly, across the divisions as it relates to procurement. I said it last week. I have not seen an ad, an advertisement, a flyer where there was a call for suppliers.
Any services?
In the past, there
Nothing.
was a call for service providers, whether it be for music trucks, whether it be for whatever it was. There was a call, so persons had the opportunity to submit their businesses for consideration. What was the procurement process for the $17.5 million?
You're so correct, because you're seeing things happening, you're seeing services being provided, but you're really not seeing anything published, advertised, and it is quite unfortunate, because this is an administration that campaigned on this whole issue of transparency and value for money and that kind of thing, and the way they have disregarded procurement and tendering. It seems as it is a hand-pick arrangement, and as the song say, you have to be friends, family, and you're being pulled in that, or supporter. So there's no process as in I would give everybody an opportunity and we choose the best person for the job. No, it is either I know you, you supported us, and those are the criteria being used now to choose suppliers. And that cannot be. This is not what Tobago voted for.
So true. And on that note, folks, we want to thank you for sticking with us and for continuing to view. And in the manner that we started, as the Bible says, as it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. So we're going to close this evening's program the way that we began. And I'll ask the director to just take us out with our brother punching.
So back, how you feeling? To those who don't know me, I'm a humorous calypsonian, and anything I sing on stage does me joke. Hey, hilariously belting out my rendition, charming humor kaisos down people's throat. So I don't want you to take me serious, the things I will sing to you, and you know I could be mischievous. Humor calypsos they cast through, like if I sing and say, oh what's none, them put a good cocktail on the PNM.
That is a joke.
That is a humor. I know that to be going and vote, they vote only malfeasance coming down with jokes.
That is a joke.
Oh Lord, that is a humor. From the assembly to them division, man, it's plenty cancatan.
That is a joke.
That is a humor. So hear what I want, all you do, all you laugh until you fall. But anything that I tell you, don't take it serious at all, because it's a joke, just a humor. So back, how you feeling? Dante. But you can listen yearly to those serious calypsonians, and all the big lyrics calypsos they sing, yeah, most sincerely making their contributions, trying to reverse this curse that we, hey, but by function to you is easy, even though it's just for a while. All you I am to make you happy. Yes, my job is to make you smile. So I want to sing and say, down in tourism, and I hear it have enough nepotism.
That is a joke.
That is a humor.